He brought his bimbo whore to my house for Christmas. And I knew I'd end up in jail or the grave unless I did something drastic to change my life. Hi, my name is Angela Carter. What I'm about to share with you is hands down the most humiliating moment of my life. It was the first Christmas after my divorce, and I can still feel the heat of my face blazing fire truck red, how I felt frozen in my shame. I had spent my entire life manifesting the perfect life for everyone else, but completely ignored myself in the process. I never felt like I had the time or energy for me, even though I'd actively participated in every moment of the creation of my life. I just didn't see myself in it anymore. After my divorce, I spent months and months trying in vain to manifest an abundant life. I bought courses, followed gurus, and read countless books. I tried the law of attraction, The Secret, and guided meditation. I always ended up right where I started, Nowheresville. I realized that if I was going to actually live the life of my dreams, it was up to me to manifest it. No one else was going to create it for me, and no one was coming to save me. As you'll see, on a whim, I took a journey halfway around the world, desperately trying to end the humiliating pain of manifesting nothing but scarcity in my relationships, in my identity, and in my finances. I'm so glad I pulled the trigger on my worldwide journey of discovery, because I discovered what was blocking a life of abundance wasn't some kind of external force like I thought. What was blocking me was actually inside me, literally stored in my body. But as I'll share in this presentation, I discovered a strange but powerful switch that cleared everything that was blocking my abundance and turned my life around so fast it made my head spin. The journey was painful at the start, but once I discovered this switch, it rocked my world. I've never felt so connected in my relationships. I've never experienced such a deep connection with my source, and I never even knew I could feel so connected to financial abundance. What I've since discovered is this simple switch, and the unlimited abundance it triggers is available to anyone. My humiliating story demonstrates how you too can discover how to rewrite your story into one of unlimited abundance, starting as soon as today. 18 months ago, I was hosting Christmas at my house, not long after my divorce from Tom. He'd been cheating on me for most of our 25-year marriage. Against my better judgment, I invited him over for Christmas for the sake of our 2 adult kids. Our oldest was Jody, a junior in college. Tom Jr. was a freshman. Typical me, I went all out to make it special, as I always did. It was so easy to slip into my role as the engineer of the perfect life for my family. I had mentally prepared myself to be cordial to my philandering husband. That night, my kids had already arrived and had been telling me all about their fall semester at school. That's when the doorbell rang. I knew it was him, so I took a deep breath and mentally put on my big girl pants. But I was not prepared for what came next. I answered the door to my ex-husband standing arm in arm with some Kim Kardashian lookalike who looked young enough to be his daughter. Her boobs were practically bursting out of her low-cut dress. "Merry Christmas," he said, holding out a bottle of wine. I stood there frozen in my humiliation and shame. Then she came in for a hug, saying, "Merry Christmas! You look so beautiful tonight." I turned around in slow motion to see my daughter with her eyes wide and her hand over her mouth. Tom Jr. was looking at her boobs, his eyes lustfully taking her in. In that moment, I knew I had to do something drastic to change my life. All I could say was, "I'm going for a drive." How had my life come to this? This emptiness, this shame, this deep pain at living a life I wanted nothing to do with. Why had I been so successful creating as perfect a life as possible for everyone else, while mine felt so empty, meaningless, and futile? Taking refuge in a Barnes & Noble Starbucks, I started wandering aimlessly around the bookstore, sipping my steaming cup of cheer. Then I found myself in the travel section. I thought I could just get on a plane and just leave. But I knew I needed something more than an escape or a break. I needed a deep reset. I needed to find myself. to like my life, to manifest the life I wanted to live in. I felt so lost. In desperation, I whispered a prayer. I don't know who I was praying to. I closed my eyes and whispered earnestly, God, I'm in serious trouble here. I truly don't know what to do. If you can, send me a sign. When I opened my eyes, I felt a small measure of peace. Then I noticed a travel book on Nepal. Inside were pictures of towering Himalayan mountains, tea houses, and elephants wading through a jungle river. I felt a tug on my sleeve. I looked down to see a cute young girl dressed in a red and white Christmas dress. Her blonde hair was in ringlets around her face, and her green eyes were staring right into mine. You should go see the elephants, she said confidently. I stood there dumbfounded. Was this the sign I just prayed for? I battled back and forth in my mind. I thought I was becoming a movie cliché. Unhappy middle-aged woman travels halfway around the world, finds happiness, love, and purpose, then lives happily ever after. Eat, Pray, Love was playing inside my head. But then I realized my pride couldn't go any lower. I decided right then to travel to Nepal and go see the elephants. What did I have to lose? Before I knew it, I was getting off the plane in Kathmandu. The next morning I found a cafe, ordered tea, and looked out the window at the bustling city. I couldn't believe I was halfway around the world, alone, trying desperately to improve my life. I was having serious doubts that I could discover how to manifest my dream life. I was lost in my thoughts and doubts, mesmerized by the sounds, sights, and smells of this colorful city, when there was a tug on my sleeve. Again, I turned to see a darling little boy with coal-black eyes and a shock of black hair. He had a flyer in his hand. He was pointing across the street to a hole-in-the-wall building. There was a colorful sign hanging above the door with a picture of an elephant. Go see the elephants, the little boy said, a bright smile on his face. I took the brochure from his hands and said, I'm on my way. I walked in through a beaded doorway to a dark room, incense wafting through the room. Sitting behind a desk was a sight I was not expecting. There was a middle-aged man there who I couldn't help but assume was an American. He had an American flag bandana wrapped around a cleanly shaved head. His salt and pepper beard came down to his chest. Good morning, he said with a welcoming smile. His eyes sparkled intelligence, warmth, and kindness. Hello, I stammered, just a little surprised. Not expecting to see someone like me, he asked. Well, not exactly. Not to worry, he replied. I get that all the time. Welcome to Kathmandu. Why are you here? He asked. I want to see the elephants, I said. Of course, he said, peering uncomfortably deep into my eyes. But why are you here? At that moment, I knew he wasn't asking about my travel plans. He was asking why I'd traveled halfway around the world, by myself, and why I looked like a lost puppy. In that moment, I relaxed into a realization. I had nothing to lose. My quest for finding myself, for manifesting a life I loved, for escaping my dreary life, had led me here. I'd even asked God for a sign. Then, not once, but twice, a random child had told me to go see the elephants. So, I spilled my guts. I told him everything. It felt so good to get that all off my chest. I felt liberated just telling my story to someone who truly listened. I actually felt a little freer, like my dark story didn't have as much of a hold on me anymore. But as you'll see, I was in for more, much more. Anthony then asked me just 3 questions that so radically changed my life, I hardly recognized the old me anymore. These same questions can transform your life too, helping you manifest a life you only thought was possible in the movies, a life with purpose and personal identity, deeply connected relationships, abundant health, not to mention wealth beyond your wildest dreams. The first question Anthony asked was this: have you heard of trauma stored in your cells of your body? His question took me by surprise. Stored bad memories? Sure, but I'd never heard of trauma stored in the physical body. Anthony went on to tell me about the world's #1 authority on trauma. He's a Dutch researcher named Bessel van der Kolk. His life's work is a book called The Body Keeps the Score. In it, he describes how trauma, painful events, negative experiences are literally stored not just in our memories, but in the cells of our bodies. Anthony went on to tell me about something called epigenetics, which is stored trauma that is passed down from one generation to the next. In a now famous experiment, researchers took a group of mice and paired the scent of cherry blossoms with a mildly painful electric shock. Eventually, when they smelled cherry blossoms, the mice freaked out, anticipating the shock. Then, the researchers tested their descendants. Even in the 6th generation, the scent of cherry blossoms would freak out mice who had no actual experience of the electric shock. They just had the genetic memory of it. I couldn't believe that in that moment, I was living in a body impacted not just with my own stored trauma, but with the stored trauma of my ancestors. I had to be honest, I had never heard of anything like this. Looking back on my life, and what I knew of just my parents' and grandparents' lives, filled me with a sense of dread. What had I been carrying in my body for decades? Anthony then explained that this scientific discovery confirms what ancient Eastern teachings have held for millennia, that what we carry in our bodies blocks us from manifesting the lives we want, need, and deserve. Anthony told me about research out of the University of Vermont Medical Center, confirming that there are indeed energy centers in the body, where different types of bioenergy is stored. For centuries, these bioenergy centers have been called chakras. The ancients believed that there were 7 chakras, or bioenergy centers. Think of them like spinning wheels, taking energy in, storing it, then releasing it. This energy is what empowers us to live our best lives. But when this energy gets blocked because of traumatic events, painful experiences, disappointments, and setbacks, we can't manifest the life we truly want. It's a phenomenon called blocked bioenergy. It's like a stream of interconnecting pools. When leaves, branches, and sticks clutter the stream connecting the pools, the flow is choked off, and everything we want, need, and deserve can't flow to us. It made all the sense in the world why I had manifested everything I didn't want and nothing I did. I felt a huge weight of responsibility lift off my shoulders. In that moment, I felt freer than I had in years. But then it hit me. Just because I knew what was blocking me from manifesting the life of my dreams didn't mean I knew how to unblock it. Anthony then asked me the second question that changed my life. Would you like to clear out what's blocking your energy so you can manifest the life you want? I said, of course, that's a no-brainer. He told me there are many ways to clear and balance the chakras. Some say yoga, others crystals. Some swear by long chakra-specific meditation sessions. Unfortunately, those are all long and complicated, he said, and require a level of expertise normal people just don't have. Most give up on it, abandoning the practice and their hope along with it. Anthony then asked the third and final question that changed my life. He said, would you like to know about the simple switch that quickly unleashes the full power of your body's bioenergy? Yes, I replied. Anthony went on to tell me that in his own journey, he discovered how to trigger an energy switch that was much faster and simpler than the ancient chakra teachings. He told me about how he came across an ancient Tibetan prophecy called the Tiger Prophecy. It foretold of a time when healing and balancing the chakras wasn't slow like an elephant, but fast and powerful like a jungle tiger. This switch from slow to fast is now possible because of the latest neurological brainwave programming, coupled with guided meditations and powerful visualizations from traditional chakra teachings. When put together in one simple audio track, the results are astounding. The synergistic combination of ancient techniques and modern technologies acts like a switch that quickly and powerfully clears and aligns all your bioenergy, all at once, which is why it's called the bioenergy switch. Then Anthony shared with me that discovering this bioenergy switch caused him to become an outcast to some of the more traditional meditation centers in Nepal. This bioenergy switch simply worked too fast for the traditionalists, and they felt it threatened their teachings. So he started his own meditation center to share it, and it was changing lives. Right then and there, I thought, this is exactly what I need. I don't have time to master strange techniques or devote my life to a guru, and I don't have the patience to figure out which chakras need rebalancing. I implored him to share this switch with me. He handed me a pair of headphones, told me to find a quiet place to sit, then press play. But to be honest, I felt a little dubious and skeptical. It sounded too simple and, well, not hard enough. Even though there are mountains of scientific studies that prove this East meets West approach is powerfully effective, the proof was in the pudding. I simply needed to give it a try. Again, what did I have to lose? So I decided to download the audio track onto my phone and take a week-long tour of the Chitwan jungle to see the elephants. Finally, I committed to listening to it every day at least once. Then I would come back and share what I'd experienced. I set out on my journey deep into the jungle and, frankly, had the time of my life. Besides seeing the elephants, they're beyond amazing, and seeing such beautiful wonders, I was listening to the Bioenergy Switch audio every single day, first thing in the morning. Sometimes I'd listen to it at night as well. The first 2 times I'd listened to it, I didn't feel anything, and I thought it was a big waste of my time. I almost said, forget it. But I decided to just go with the flow and enjoy the peaceful meditation. Then, on the 3rd day, something changed. The transformation I experienced is actually difficult to describe. I'll tell you about all the external manifestations, like money, my dream house, and all that, in just a minute. But first, let me tell you about the deep-seated, soul-soothing peace I experienced. I could actually feel the bioenergy switch releasing a powerful flow of positive energy into my body. It was transforming how I saw and valued myself. I could feel limiting beliefs melting away. I could feel negative energy dissolving and positive energy taking control of my mind and body. I experienced a peace and balance in my own identity and purpose. It even transformed what I expected to come my way and how I felt about the future. Even more, I felt connected to my life, perhaps for the first time. I could see myself already living the life I was destined for. The moment of standing in shame in my living room when my ex showed up with his bimbo felt lifetimes ago now. The feeling of seeing life from the outside was no longer my reality. After having spent decades creating and manifesting the perfect life for everyone else, but disconnected from it myself, because of the bioenergy switch, I could feel myself connecting to my own identity in ways I'd only imagined. Plus, my body, and this is hard to explain, my body felt so fully alive, like a wet, heavy blanket had been lifted off me. I could see and feel the sun's energy. I could see and feel the energy of the elephants. I could see and feel the energy of people, and I was connected to that energy in powerful ways. No longer was I just a solitary human on planet Earth. I felt and started living out of my connection to everything. I received insights about my life and my journey. This wisdom purely bestowed upon me. I sensed a deep and profound love to and from all living things.